Chris and Maggie. Hope you are doing well. And we are coming for a new video talking about our latest books, spiritual books, as usual. A bit late this time, but we have a lot of things to do and projects we carry on, but we want to keep this up with you. So hi, Maggie. Hi, Chris. How have you been doing?
Oh, it's been an active week this week. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And Thanksgiving to everyone.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes. It's really strange this month of October, and we will be talking about in another video, about the energies and, the festivities and also the psychic protection that we need to have, because it's a very, very dense month where the veils are really thin, but also, there is light and there is darkness in this month. So it's kind of, we need to kind of bring awareness to that.
But that's why you need the book. Psychic Defense Kit. This is absolutely perfect time for that book.
For that book, yes. And we will talk about in the next video. So for today, we will be talking about the books that we have been reading. And I think we have been kind of reading. I mean, for me, I got back to the practice of reading a bit more. So what about the first book you want to share with us?
Well, the first book that I have is, now, can you see that? It's the 5 Element Solution by Jean Hanna. And is a different approach to acupuncture, really, because acupuncture deals with the energetic side, and therefore you have to go and see somebody for that. But with this method, she shows you how you can help yourself. And what she does is, at the beginning, there's a little question answer quiz, and she goes, I should backtrack. She goes to the 5 elements. The 5 elements are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. These are all part of your body, and you'll either stimulate them or keep them in balance however you can. But she goes through a quiz with each element, and then you have yes/no answers. At the end, you count up the yeses and the nos and see which one is dominant. If you've got yes, obviously that's dominant. Then you go through each element, and at the end, there's normally one which is more dominant than the others, and that's the one where you resonate the most, and that's where you tend to look where there's a situation in your life which isn't going well. Mm-hmm. And then get my notes, because there's so many notes in this. This is the fascinating part. She goes to each element and she describes the personality attributed to this element. And you can really see yourself in some of these things, and it's fascinating. And then she'll go on and show you how you can look through the element. You can see which aspect is not working for you, and then you can decide whether you need more of... I don't know how that comes across. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you're dominant in fire and things are just too explosive around you at the moment, you can put earth on it to calm it down. So then you have to go into the characteristics of earth to see what they are, to see how you can counter what's going on in the fire. And the same as if you haven't got enough fire, you put wood there to make it so you've got more activity, and that's quite fascinating how you can do that. And then she goes through the different attributes to these elements, and you can find them in everyday activities. Do I need to dance more? Do I need to run more? Do I need to sit quietly? Do I need to meditate? Do I need to wear this color, that color? And she goes through that with you, so you can decide for yourself what you need and apply it to yourself. And you can do that in any situation. So it's like you're like a walking encyclopedia to start with. But once you know what your element is, you are in charge of what is happening in your body. And you don't have to go and see anybody. You can take care of it yourself. Now, you might need to go and see somebody else as well, but the fact that you can actually take care of a lot of these situations on your own gives you a lot more power and resources that you wouldn't normally have. And I find this quite fascinating and easy to use. And she'll tell you the good qualities, the not so good qualities of each element. So if you have a dominant element and there are some aspects in there you're not very keen on, you can address those by looking at the other elements and saying, okay, how can I just bring that down?
It's really, really interesting. I don't know why this vision of the 5 elements, and I'm checking one of the books I'm listening to. You are bringing this Chinese medicine principles, of the 5 elements, and but in a more self-introspection and self-discovery.
That's right. And the other interesting thing is, as you probably know, I study polarity with the energy balancing. However, this has taken it one step further, and I'm sure I can apply it to the polarity, but I've never thought of it like that. And so it's not the only place where it's being taught. They're being taught in other places as well. So you've got to apply whatever you know to the situation and try that. But
It's interesting because you think of Chinese medicine as being more chemical or herbal, but it's very much about energy. And looking at the elements in terms of energy is really quite powerful.
Very much so, yes.
Maybe I can share a bit about the book I am listening to, because it's bringing me something here. So I'm listening to the book called Journeys with Plant Spirits by Emma Farrell. I will put the picture a little bit later. But she talks also about the wheel, the medicine wheel. And she combines that to the elements. We know it's an old tradition in many, First Nations also practice this. So we have the water, the air, the earth, and the fire. And then we link also some aspects of the mind, the emotions, and so on. So I'm feeling like there is something really coming back through the elements and through our connection to the elements. Nature is made by elements, so there is something here I'm noticing.
Well, we lost contact, I think, with a lot of the nature spirits and things like that. And like you, I've noticed a lot of people books coming up which are connecting you more with these spirits. And even to the point of saying, going outside, put your hand on the tree, see how you feel. Talk to the tree, see if it talks back, and don't expect an immediate answer, because that rarely happens. But if you keep doing this and keep exchanging with these different elements and with different plants and animals, yeah, they will.
Yes, and it clarifies the path also. Just before we start, you were talking about the third eye, and I feel there is something about clarifying, clearing out those channels of communication with the elements also, or with nature is so important. It's not only important to clarify the communication with ourselves, but also with nature spirits. And this is how we gain back our soul, I feel.
I think an aspect of our pineal gland has been shut down for a long time. And as we open that up, we'll have more opportunity to communicate with plant life, animal life as well.
Maggie, I cannot not ask you, what element have you found the most dominant in you?
Metal.
And what type of characteristics, just to give us an example?
It's very intuitive, oversensitive.
You're oversensitive.
Oversensitive, yeah. Actually, I don't want to go through all the others. But I went through that. It was yes. Oh, okay.
Really interesting.
It was very interesting. Yes, I've got to do Chris. So I've got a feeling I know which one Chris is. It's the exact opposite to mine. But
it's interesting too.
Yeah,
as a couple.
Yeah. As a couple, yes, it's good because it means that I'm more balanced than I would be normally. We balance each other. So get up, come on, do something. I think is in many ways it's complementary, but it shows you actually how you can work together. yes, I know I'm like this. I know what the critical things about me. I'm aware of those, and I think we've been aware of them for some time. But giving another way of looking at them to deal with them, and then say, okay, now this is going on for you. I can look at you and say, okay, well, maybe you need a bit more of this, and how can we work together to get a good, solid relationship?
Yes.
So I think it's very valuable, this book, because if you can look at it like that, look at it logically, not emotionally, you're all right. If you start being emotional about it, can become a problem. Because then you're accusing each other of this, you're that, and you don't want that. You think, okay, this is my basic character. How can I modify that so that I can interact with you at a much nicer rate than we have been? I think that's very beneficial.
It's really lovely that you're talking about communication and the healing of the emotional body. It has been a point that came out the last weeks through my sessions with some clients. The healing of the emotional body, the healing of our memory, the healing of our link to our own emotions. And there is something about this disconnection because of traumas, and disconnection because it's too much suffering. So we disconnect and then we start projecting it over others, and that's when all the game starts. But it's really important. I feel we are bringing more awareness to our communications and to our link to what exists.
Yes, absolutely.
So
and
maybe
the other thing is when you don't deal with the emotions, I can't deal with that. I just don't want to know about that. You push it down. You can keep pushing it down to the point where it explodes.
Yes.
And that can come in a very, very negative way. But if you can deal with it instantly, or more or less instantly, then you can let that go, and that does not sit in you forever and ever and cause problems down the line.
And also, yes, it's funny we talk about it because I told you, like, the last weeks also, I was feeling that my emotions, or my emotional perception has changed with time. And through this work we do of self-discovery, I was like, this is really strange. I mean, before I used to react really strongly to this. Now I'm like, I'm not feeling anything. There's nothing that is coming out. But when I feel the real kind of sadness or the real anger or I feel them, they are present. They are present and, subtle sometimes very strong, but I feel them. But in some situations, I don't feel any attachment, So
okay, that's good.
So I feel there is an evolution that is possible too.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. Because when I was growing up, it was, we'd sit at the dinner table. My dad had a little stick. And if we spoke without being spoken to, we were wrapped over the knuckles. So children were seen but not heard. So therefore you suppressed. And then I think I probably went to the other extreme where I really did express. And I'm coming back into the middle now, because you have to learn to express, but in a way which is not confrontational and accusing everybody. You just, okay, what is my aspect in this? How can I deal with this? What is my responsibility in this? So you have a different perspective. But it's interesting how you look back on your childhood and you think, oh, this is where it started from. This is why I'm like I am. And okay, that's the lesson I came in to learn. How am I learning it, and how am I adjusting to it, and go from there.
And you bring me, I feel like we will talk about books, but just this point that is coming is that, this communication with compassion, there is the nonviolent communication that, we learn in our practice, but there is also this notion of separation. We are separate, and that's why we communicate. But at the same time, we are not that separate, because we feel each other's and we have an impact on each other's as humans. So there is this kind of polarity of separation union that exists in words, in communication, and it's a playground. It's a soccer game, I like to say it, because this is where we have all the time to get to what is light within us, what is balanced within us. It can show the worst in humans, but also the most beautiful parts when it's done with authenticity and with honesty and with love and care for each other's. So I just wanted to add this.
I think that's good, because that's what this book is all about. Jean Hannah, everything is coming back into balance. And yes, you have a dominant element, but you can balance that with others, and you can be a more centered person than you would be otherwise. And I think from that perspective, it's great.
Yes.
And you can look at it from, if you don't, many people don't want to be a therapist, and that's fine. But you can look at your own qualities in there and see how it interacts with the others, and then look at yourself and deal with that.
Yeah.
So I think for an individual, it's great. If you want to be a therapist, go ahead. But I mean, I think most people need to do things on their own to start with.
Yes. Awesome. Chris, I don't know if you have any book that you bring with you today before I jump in with mine.
I feel really guilty. I've had a strange week.
Yes.
There's been a lot of energy changes this week, and I felt tired most of the time. So I've ended up just reading a novel to sort of take me out of it. I did get a book to review, and it's on imagination. And I started reading it, but I just haven't got into it properly. So I'll have to ask for forgiveness. And, I will. We can review it later. But what I did do was think about Halloween, because Halloween's coming up, and it has a lot of fun associations, and it's a great time of the year for children. But it also has some serious considerations. So I put together a little talk, and I'll be giving that next.
Next. Amazing. So I will bring, of course, I talked about the book by Emma. I met Emma around 4 years ago in the UK, and she was organizing with her ex-husband a fair, like a talk and conferences. And I was really amazed by the quality of people present in the wells and the magic and the druids, and it was really beautiful. And she wrote a book. It's called Journeys with Plant Spirits. It got published this year, and I'm in the middle of it. I didn't finish it yet, but I know her practice. I know that she talks about plants and communicating with plants and how to journey, because she makes journeys and journeys with plants. But when we work with plants and spirit of the plants, not plants just in the physical aspect, I feel we talk the same. We have the same talk, the same communication, the same words, the same way of seeing the world. So I felt like hanging out with a friend, and I'm still listening to it, and I think I will re-listen to it again, because it has this conscious awareness of plants as teachers and as masters, and the healing they are bringing to us. And
that's a very important in the shamanic world, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
I have a bit of a shamanic background, and we rely on going to the underworld and communicating with plants and animals, or the essence of them. It's a very important part of knowing what's going on.
Yes. And this, Maggie, you wanted to add something. I was looking, and you were searching for a book.
I'm looking for a book, and it's by Tora Kunz. She's dead now, but she was an incredible woman. She used to talk with fairies, and she has a whole book on fairies. And she was, which is slightly off target, but she was so precise with what she could see. And when we took this course with her, this woman came in and she said, "Oh, you've broken your arm since the last time I saw you." And she said, "I'm sorry, I don't recognize your face. I recognize your body." She could see everything in the body, whereas most people can't, but she could see the fairies. And we've got a couple of other friends who see fairies, and it's something I'd love to do, but, oh yeah, you got a fairy on that one. And these are really sensible people, This, Dora Kunz, She was teaching therapeutic touch. She was one of the co-founders, and it was lovely to hear her speak. It really was. She was 90, I think, and she was giving this talk. Absolutely incredible.
Mhm.
But
Amazing.
we tend to discount things which we can't see or hear.
Yes.
So therefore, if we can't see a fairy, we can't possibly talk to a fairy. We
Yes.
can't hear a tree, the tree can't possibly be talking. And the same with animals. And the fact is, we just can't interpret it.
Yes.
That's what it is. Until we open up our third eye and start seeing things and being available, we're probably not going to achieve it.
This is really interesting because this brings something that happened this last week with one of my friends. He's a musician, and he got a machine that makes him hear the sounds that we do not hear with the human ear.
Okay.
And he tried it, and he sent me some voices and some sounds, and I couldn't hear it. I couldn't. I found it disturbing, very disturbing. And I told him, sometimes I think that if we are not meant to see something, it's for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are meant to see it, it's for a reason. So, for example, I give you an example. There is Robert. He's very well known in Montreal. He makes visits in the forests and shows fairies. And I talked with him once. We went on a walk, and I was telling him, Robert, I see and I feel sometimes some spirits in nature, but I more see them in people. For example, I see the origin of people if they come from the fairy realm or the elves realm, or if they come from certain star system, or if they are warriors, or if they are priestesses, or which memories they carry. I see more of this. And we were talking about it because what we see makes us different, but also shows us what we need to do. I think we have also to develop the way we see things and the way we feel things as therapists and as extrasensorial being. But it doesn't mean that fairies do not exist. We have that awareness of that. But this is really interesting about how we complement each other's and how we complement the different realms that exist in the world. It's really amazing. And sometimes, even many therapists, when we do like a healing on one person, we will see different things. And when we see them, it's like everyone is seeing the same thing from different floors. It's really, really amazing.
Yeah. And like we used to work, there were 2 or 3 of us on one person, and we were all picking up different things, but we were all going into different frequencies.
Yes.
And they were all equally valid. And that was something which was difficult for people. I can't see that, therefore I'm not very good. No, you're just looking in a different place.
Totally.
I think we've been, well, certainly from my perspective, these things don't exist. Therefore you can't see them. So we have to overcome that. And then when you start seeing them, you have to share it with somebody who's going to believe you. That would help. And then you'll find that they will start to develop more and more.
Yes.
But I know some people who can see so many things that I can't see. Not jealous, but I think that's great. But then I see things that they can't see. But together we can make up a bigger picture. And I think we can't all see the same thing at the same time. We all have different aspects which we bring into the bigger picture.
And also it's overwhelming, Maggie. Like when I see, I tell you sometimes about the journeys I make, and sometimes it's so big that my mind does not understand it at all. And I just like, you feel like, how am I gonna get back? how I am going to, and that I am does it really exist? You enter into that question, So it's really, I feel I think we have to be grateful for what we don't see also, because
it would be too much
in this human form and human brain. It will be, like really a lot. And I'm seeing at this moment, I feel like we are more discussing we will get 2 books at this moment. But for example, at the moment I'm asking myself this question. I'm working with the roses, which are the basics of who I am. But I'm also working with Hathor, who is one of the the spirits or the energies that I'm working. I work with Isis. I work with Ma'at. I work with Thoth. I work with Bridget. And I work with plants. And I have like some spirit of plant spirits coming to me these last days regarding some physical things, to look into. And I'm like, how am I gonna nurture these relations? How am I gonna strengthen and nurture and go deeper in these relations with the time that I have, with the work I have to do? And of course, spirits will say, keep it simple, keep it simple. But at the same time, we are mechanical. We work by step and phase by phase. And sometimes it's a blessing to not be in the too much, but to be in the little and the deep.
And do it layer by layer. You can tackle one layer and know that there are other layers exist, but you don't have to deal with those at the moment.
Yes.
And focus on the one layer that's critical for you.
Yes.
There was a study that I was listening to the other day, and it was quite fascinating. It was to do with medical. And you've got a group of Westerners, and you got a group of Eastern people, and they looked at the same picture, and then they had to say what they saw afterwards. The West side concentrated on one area, and they did that in detail, whereas the Eastern side did the whole picture. They could see more than what the Western people could, because they just focused on that one area. And it's like they're taught in medicine, you concentrate on this one area, whereas with the other Eastern area, they were seeing the bigger picture. And so they were reporting more, and they had more information to bring forward. And neither is particularly brilliant. I don't think you've got to bring, because it's very difficult. And when I see things, I see the whole picture, probably like you. Then I have to break it down. And but you can't break the whole picture down.
Yes.
Because I've got I'll focus on this bit. Oh, but there's a bit over there which is important, so that has to come in. And then by the end of the talk, I forgot that bit over there. But they're all equal, but you can't get the whole thing in at the same time. So
yeah, it takes time and space, and also like journaling helps to keep those notes. Yes. and books, my books, and I'm sure our books too, like keep us it reminds us also of the journey that we are making.
Yes.
But I wouldn't say that about cards. For those who know me, cards are like sugar for me. These rules do not apply to cards. Cards, I get a lot and I'm happy with it. I'm more talking about spiritual practice. But yeah, even cards, I go in by topic or by intention, because if not, I'll get lost in all my collection. Go back to books.
Back to books, yeah.
I want to share. Maggie, do you have another book to share before I share another one?
I think no, that's the one I shared with. There's a lot of reading in there, but it's worthwhile reading. You can use it on yourself, and I think it's very beneficial.
That's amazing. I will share. Maybe I have brought two books, but I want to honor because I have, like you, a lot of teachers I learned with, and I'm still learning, and I'm feeling so grateful for them and so grateful for what they bring forth. And one of the teachers, I made an interview with her on this channel. I will put it later on. Her name is Normandi Ellis, and she is one of the references in Egyptian mythology. And I mean, this book, Fist of Light, I'm rereading it. I'm relearning about it. And it's a book that talks about the different celebrations they used to make or they used to do in the Egyptian in ancient Egypt, and it goes by the gods and the goddesses, and it goes through the journey they make. What I really love about this book is that it doesn't talk only about festivals, or the gods. She brings in activities to apply these festivals in our real life. how to, like, for example, we celebrate Bastet or Bast, the cat goddess. Her face is a cat, right? So how can I infuse my body with light during that period? And it changes from the some we have the wheel from the Celtic perspective, and this one is kind of very, very ancient and has its own kind of dates, but getting into this wheel of the celebrations and festivals, I feel goes beyond the time, as if like it's in May or in April. No, it's a journey. It's a journey we take on to take care of different bodies we have. So we go through the journey of joy, but then there is like the festival of lamentation, or Isis when she lost Osiris. So there is loss. How can I get back on track? There is this journey of the soul that I'm seeing in the festivals. So, it's filled with information. I mean, Normandi is like a dictionary walking on 2 feet about ancient Egypt. And she puts a lot of information that she gets, that she feels, that she receives, that she learns, because also she studied this. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm still enjoying it, and I'm still rediscovering it. And also something really interesting is that and that brings me again to this topic of, if I have only one book, sometimes I think about this. If I go to an island and I have only one book, and I will reread it, reread it again, and I will learn always new things. So I feel that's another thing about how we evolve in our reading, and how we our perception needs repetition. This, I mean, the marketing, the companies have understood this. They repeat the same message again and again and again. So there is something about that is brought to me too, by repeating. So yeah, let me show you, for example, if I take a day, I don't follow them really, but let me see the next one. So October 13, so today we are October the 8th, and we have the Feast of Ma'at.
It's the 10th.
Yes, but the 8th, which was like 2 days ago.
Okay.
Yes. So we were celebrating.
Today's a very important day.
Yes.
10:10, we should at 10:10, we should be meditating.
Oh, well, maybe we are meditating with words today together.
Oh, you missed it, didn't you?
I did. So so October the 8th is the Feast of Ma'at. So it's about balance and order, justice, truth telling. How can I speak with truth? And also talking about the constellation of Libra. Then there is the opening of the woman and the Feast of Isis, and how I can, that now that I know who I am, how can I be fertile and share that truth with others? How can I transit to a new age, for a new age that has a new basis? So there is, anyway, it's a really very, very very interesting book for all those who are into Egyptian mythology.
That sounds fascinating. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can stop with this, because if not, we're gonna just carry on more books, and maybe we can leave some for the next month. By the way, I remind our viewers that we have some books out there that you might be interested in. One of them is the Psychic Self-Defense. I will be talking about it in another video very soon. And there is Thriving into the New Vibration, the workbook. I don't have it physically, but I'm sure you can find the link below. I don't know, Chris, you have it somewhere. And the workbook also.
Yeah, that's the original book.
Yes, here we go. Thriving in the New Vibration. And the workbook. That's amazing. You have it.
Yeah.
Keep them to hand all the time.
Yes, and we talk also about many other books. You can check them on the playlist. So wish you a very nice day, and we'll see you soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take care. Enjoy having your company.
That was great.
Mm.